But if this player is not able to dribble the ball with the left hand, if this technique had never been taught to him, he will only be able to bounce with the right. In that moment, the ball is closer to the opponent, and maybe opponent will intercept. This incapability will influence the decision-making of the player. Because of not being safe in moving to the left side with dribbling right, he will always make the decision to go to the right side, because in this moment, he can protect the ball. So that's why we say that the techniques, they limit the decision-making in the game. This is a very important sentence, because only the techniques that the players are sure in, that they are really safe in, and they can use them in the competition situation, they give them the opportunity to make a decision to one or to the other side to move, or to make a decision between different actions, as we see here in this definition. So we can transfer this into a picture and can say the techniques, they are the tools of the players to solve situations. And this is a very nice picture because, as you can imagine, if you want to work in your house or somewhere else, the more tools you have, the better it is. So you have different types of screwdrivers, you have different types of hammers, different types of saw, or something like this. And then you have always an adequate tool for the situation. If you have only one tool, okay, no decision can be made between using different tools. So that's why we say that, first of all, your task as a coach is to develop the players, provide them with a lot of different tools, because from those tools, they can, in the game situation, make a decision which one to use. So this is something which is really important, and this is something which needs a lot of training, because in that way you work out the different techniques. It's not enough to make it a little bit on that side. You have to work out the techniques on a high level in both variations. So coming back to our simple example, if our player is very strong in bouncing the ball with the right hand, but dribbling with the left hand is not so strong, under stress, under pressure, in the game situation, in the competition, he will always tend to use the strong variation, in which he is sure, in which he is experienced, and avoid the unsure, the unsafe action or technique. So that's why we must work out the technique variations on same level and same quality, each of them. Then we can hope that the player in the competition situation can make a decision for one or for the other, because they are available in a more or less adequate way for them. So this is something very important about the tools, because they are the basis for decision making. Now, the techniques in handball, we have altogether 4 of them. First is, topic of today, ball handling and dribbling. And this is a technique which gives a really good option to the player, because you know from our rules, there's a restriction of the ball possession, maximum 3 seconds and maximum 3 steps. Okay, 3 seconds, I think it's a quite long time, but 3 steps is not much space the player can cover with the ball in his hands. But he can do more steps. In that moment, he needs to dribble the ball. It's written in the rules how you have to do that, or how the players have to do that. With the hand is coming from the top, don't go under it, don't grab it, don't stick it to the body, and so on. You know all those elements. So it gives the players an option to create time and space with the ball, if they can use the dribbling in a nice way. And this is something which is similar to other sports that have the same structure like handball. So in all those sports, when the team is attacking opponent's goal, there is an individual way how to move with the ball. In basketball, they do it a little bit more cool. In football, they do it with the dribbling, with the feet. In hockey, they do it with the stick. So dribbling is a part of all these games who have that same structure, giving the player the option to move in time and space on the court with the ball. There's a second aspect which is quite important. Dribbling gives the player the option to be the most dangerous player on the court. Maybe you remember from one of our first sessions, the basic principles in defense and attack, that the most dangerous player is the one who is moving with high speed and ball towards opponent's goal. So these are the three aspects that are really important: with the ball, with high speed, and in the direction towards the opponent's goal. This is the most dangerous player on the court. So, and for this, dribbling is needed. The second type of techniques we have is to catch and to pass. We will come into that in another presentation, but in short words, this is the technique for cooperation. So one is catching and passing to the next one catching and pass to the next. So receiving the ball and forward it to the next. This is the way the players can cooperate with each other. Number 3 is the throwing. So which means to realize the idea of that handball game. Because as you know, the basic idea is we want to score. The basic idea in handball is throw the ball into opponent's goal. And that's why this technique of throwing is very, very basic in our game. If you cannot throw, the handball player can say this. And these are the 3 basic types of techniques. We have them, as I said before or explained, in other games too that have the similar structure. And in handball, I want to introduce something more to you. It's the so-called basic attack movements. These basic attack movements are a word or summarizing of all those technical elements we have in the one-on-one situation, feinting, and so on. And we will have a special presentation about that. So these are the classical 3 plus this 1 extended techniques. And today we will focus on the ball handling and dribbling. But this ball handling and dribbling always, like all the other techniques too, is very much combined or depending on observation. Because in our game, the players have to make decisions, and these decisions must be transferred into their actions. So that's why very often you can see that players in beginner level, they play quite slow, because very often you can see them on the court observing, searching for the different information that is given, and from that try to make a good decision. And this is why, from my point of view, it's very helpful, especially for beginners, not to play in a too complex situation, like a 6-on-6 full match. Teach them in small groups, in 3 against 3, 4 against 4 maximum, because then less players from their team, less players from opponent's team. So altogether, less information is given on the court. And from that, it's easier for them to pick out the relevant information, and from that relevant information, make their decision. So in that moment, we need to see, and this is one of our was one of our instructions in handball. We've heard about that in our first presentation, that very many mistakes are made in the game, and that's normal. We explained it already before. That's always a game in which mistakes are made, mistakes from the attacker side or mistakes from the defense side. But if one side is making something positive, the other side must have made a mistake. This is the style of the handball, or the conception of handball. It's not possible that attack and defense are doing something positive in the same moment. If attacker scores, defender or goalkeeper has made a mistake. If defense intercept the ball, attack has made a mistake. So mistakes are a part of our game. We have to accept them. But very many mistakes are not technical mistakes, but mistakes in decision making. So if we talk about technical elements like ball handling and dribbling and all the others in the following presentations, please always be aware, if you find a mistake that your players are making, then have a look whether it's a technical mistake or whether it is a mistake in decision making. So, okay. Now, especially for the movement one-on-one, it's very important to see the open space in the game, to see the gaps. And it's not only enough to see the gaps, but to use them. Because if the players don't use the gaps, don't try to break through, they will never get an answer from the opponent's defense. First of all, whether they are fast enough, or on the other side, whether the gap is big enough. If they are successful, okay, perfect. Next time, try again. If they fail because the gap is closed or they are too slow, then they learn from that. In the next situation, don't try that anymore. But if they never use in some type of development or some steps of development, they will never see the gaps anymore. They will never anticipate the gaps anymore. They won't even search the gaps anymore. And this is something we cannot allow. We want active players. We want everyone try to be the most dangerous player on the court. So he needs, on one side, the ball handling and dribbling to break through, but on the other side, he needs to see the gap. So this is why perception and techniques are really strongly related in that moment. So that's why we should, in our training, use a combination of teaching the techniques and the perception. So using technique training with special perception tasks, using defenders that are not passive, at least they are active in a way, that we try to create situations in which the players have to make a decision and develop their decision making according to the situation. And that even in technique training, we try to create game-like demands. This is the basic idea of technique training, which is closely related to our game. So in that moment, we can divide this technique training into 3 steps. First methodical step is teach the basic drills under really easy conditions. Make it as easy as possible for the players. Don't stress them. Teach the simple variations. Now in dribbling, in the next chapter, you will see what the simple variations are. And in the 3rd chapter, you will see some practical examples for this. This is no problem. Make it really easy so that every player, without any stress, without any pressure, can be successful in that moment. In the 2nd step, very important now, 2nd methodical step, use the basic drills, but give them some additional tasks for perception. Enforce them to take the eyes away from the ball, so that in a way the implementation of the technique is worked out in an unaware way. Don't focus always on the ball. Don't concentrate on that. Focus on the game situation. And for this, we need to give optical signals or task of perception to the players. And then in the third step, third methodical level, basic drills and basic games with active opponents are introduced. So in that moment, it's not 100% active defense, but defense which is maybe only using arms or maybe using legs only. See some examples after that. And the players need to make a variation or need to use a variation of the technique according to the situation. These are the three methodical steps, very easy on one side. And I think in our practical part, you can follow that in a nice way. Okay, now let's come to chapter number 2, the variations of the dribbling. And this is something, it's quite easy to explain. First of all, ball handling and dribbling must be worked out with the right and the left hand. As you remember from our basic example, moving to the right, saving the ball with your body, go around with the left side to the left side and save the ball with your body again. So that's why the players need to use the right and the left hand. And from my point of view, especially dribbling is very easy to develop with the right and the left hand. Easier than passing, easier than throwing. So passing the ball with the right and the left hand over short distances, yes, that's possible. But over a longer distance, when more power is needed and the movement must be precise, then it's really difficult to do that with the right and the left hand. So for short distances, passing right and left hand, yes. Long distance, difficult. And the same is for the throwing. Sometimes you can see players from a short distance moving and then shooting the ball with the left hand. Okay, this can be possible because the distance to the goal is not so far and the throwing must not be so tough. But shooting from the backward position with the right and the left hand, only very few players in top handball, in international handball, came to that level. Very often you couldn't see players in that way, only using one hand for the shooting. So this is something, again, for specialists. But the dribbling, which is a movement with rhythm, which is a movement with more or less small variations only in the power you use compared to passing or shooting. This should be worked out with the right and the left hand. So both hands must be possible. Second is using different speed, easy and high speed. Third is the different directions. Forward, backward, sideward moves are possible with the ball. You can move in any direction. And if you can do that without keeping the ball in your hands, you can feint, you can change direction, which is quite important, and then move on the court. So these are the really basic variations, turning to the right, turning to the left, using the right and the left hand in that moment. You will see it in the practical session afterwards. Very easy variations, very simple, but very, very helpful in game situations. And the last but very important point here is do that without constant observation of the ball. Very often we have this discussion with coaches in Germany too. Oh, my players, when they bounce, immediately they have the eyes on the ball. Okay, in that moment, it's a mistake. Yes, it is. The players will not lose the ball, but it will be easier for the defense to intercept. But this is a problem of how they were taught, how they were educated. So if you teach your players not to look on the ball, then they can see the game situation, then they can make decisions. If they bounce and have a look on the ball, okay, sorry, then decision making is getting more and more difficult. So let's transfer this, or let's try to observe this in some game situation. You see a very open defense and this player, she receives the ball very close to the own goal, winning the one-on-one situation. Now faster as her important now. Have a look at this side of the court. Now you can see another defender. She could make a decision and go for help, but she doesn't go. So in that moment, the way to the goal is free. The decision is correct. You go. And the next one, moving around to the left side, using now right hand dribbling and the left hand in between, because there's big space, is a big gap. And number 3, moving, but passing in that moment. And this is something, we cannot see it on the video, but it is clear. If this player is moving with high speed here, observing only the ball, she will never see the pivot player or the player in the pivot position. Now, eyes up, pass is possible. This is no problem, but only if she's not observing the ball. And the next, okay, she's a little bit out of the video now, but moving with high speed. So as you can see in this video, every player tries to be the most dangerous player on the court, going with high speed to opponent's goal. And this is what we want the players to do. Now, same player like in the first moment. She's receiving the ball here. Now, ball is on the left hand, moving around to the left side. No chance for defense to intercept the ball. Then dribbling with the right hand, continuously moving to the goal. Now compare to the situation we had at the beginning. Second defender now is coming and going for help. This is the moment from the dribbling, she must observe opponent and teammate, and this teammate is free now. So easy scoring. These are the decisions we want. So a long distance pass, a nice rotation, and go. So good passing, change of direction, rotate, and finalize. So in that you can see how those players develop their skills individually. And this is what we want to have in this category of age. Now, dribbling in that type of game is needed because it's a game in very open space. And in this open space, the players need to cover the space to come closer to the opponent's goal. So the more open the game is, the more it is a dribbling game. Now in the next, you see the same players in attack, but you see them working against the zone defense, which is almost around the 9-meter area position. So it's again the tall player in the pivot position. Now defense is far away. This is 6-meter line. Here you can see 9 meter. But you can see them attacking to the gap, and breaking through. Another example we see here. Change of direction, breaking through. And another example, breaking through. So, and in these examples, again, you can see it's not dribbling the ball 4, 5, or 6 times, but it's at least one bounce, because this one bounce, this one dribbling extends the range of the player, the space he can use very much, because without bounce, 3 steps only, but with one bounce only, it's 6 steps, 3, 1 bounce, and another 3. So it's double the space, but only 1 bounce in between. And you can see here, the player in attack, she's a right-handed player. But if she's moving now to the gap on the left side, bounce with the left hand. So in that moment, defense cannot interfere. If the help is coming, passes now with the right hand. Next player, again, right-handed player, but bounce left, throwing with the right hand. And once again, a change of direction. And once again, another example for using the left hand. Now you can see the screen in that position. Left, left, right, shooting. So always these players are using the hand which is correct, the hand which is useful in that moment to break through to the gap. Even for this change of direction, we see it here very slowly, tack, and now change of direction, breaking through. This is one of our small variations the players need. Left, left, right, and shoot. So some of you might think that this is something which is only needed or can be seen in younger age categories. No, it isn't. Even in top international handball, sometimes you find players that use the dribbling in a nice way. So we see here some examples from a Spanish player. He was using the dribbling very well. So you see, as a center-back player, isolated against his defender, feinting and shooting. And the next, go to the gap and pass. So you can really see how he is creating the situation from bouncing. And this is something, okay, this was just a pass. This is something which helps the player to create time with the ball and then change of direction and pass to the player in the position. Now you see, from far away against that open defense, change of speed, accelerate to the gap here, and then draw next defender and pass to the next one. So once again, after the 3 throw, in cooperation with the pivot, moving to one side, moving to the other side, and then give the ball away. In the fast break, break through. So in general, this is really part of our game, and some players Even in top handball, they do this. Once more, after the free throw, they use this situation very often, moving inside, moving outside, and pass the pivot. Very simple, very easy, and nicely to observe how this player is taking the time and accelerating in the right moment. And breaking through. So this is how dribbling can be used in certain situations. Okay, sometimes we don't want this as a coach. We want to have the player who is passing the ball free or in a speedy way. Yes, that's true. On the other side, if player has that option, he can use it. If he hasn't that option, he cannot use it. This is why we said in one of our 10 instructions, if the players can use the dribbling, it's a good thing because they can use it in the game and they don't need to. If they cannot, and in certain situations they have to use it, then it will be difficult for them. Okay, now let's step into the last chapter and show some examples for very nice and easy drills. So this is how we started with the young players to work out the feeling for the ball and the ball handling. Now very easy movements. They should give the ball into the air, make as many claps as possible in front of the body or behind the body, and then catch the ball. So it's a little bit about to calculate and to have a good feeling for the ball. So we call this ball handling. And I think this is needed. The ball should be the friend of the player. Now some more moves are coming. So give the ball in the air, jump on the spot, and then clap between the knees. So you see, ball is in the air. Now, in that moment, the player steps and claps between the legs once, twice, and then tries to catch the ball again. 1, 2, catch again. 1, 2, catch again. So this is some type of orientation they're using in that moment, clapping 3 times on the ground, 1, 2, 3, and then come up, see the ball very late, calculate, and catch it. So now they give the ball into the air and catch it on the ground while sitting, or from sitting they give it in the air and catch it while standing. These are very basic things, but with all players we can do that, even with all the categories, doing that as a warm-up in our training. Okay, next example we have here. This is some easy variation of the ball handling between the legs. So in the first step, they have to drop the ball. And now, as you can see, there is at the beginning, right hand behind, left hand in front, and then it's just the other way around. So the ball should always be between the legs. In the next step, it's without dropping, it's lifting the ball. So you can see she lifts up the ball and catch it again. Lift and catch. So, and I like these drills very much because they show the players that with some type of exercising and a lot of repetitions, they can get better and better. Now with the right and the left hand, bouncing on the spot, dribbling through the legs, then jump around, and then catch the ball, dribble again. Okay, now dribbling the ball in that way is connected with some tasks. First is, you see the lines on the court. We have those lines from basketball, from volleyball, and other sports. So one type of very simple task is not to step on the lines. So always try to jump over the lines, open the eyes, not to touch that line. Now, with a signal from the coach, a whistle, the players, they stop running and then they continue. So first whistle, stop, second whistle, go. But continuously, they have to bounce the ball. So this is very simple. Everyone can create own direction. Everybody can create own speed. And then in that area, need to observe a little bit, not to make an accident, not to crash into the others, and then accelerate again after the signal. Now this can be done too with a change of the hand. So stop with the right hand, next whistle, accelerate, and start with the left hand. So right hand standing, left hand moving. Next time, left hand standing, and accelerate, change the hand. So we use right and left hand in the same way in that drill. Very simple, very easy, but very helpful for the players. Next step, when they stop, they have to go down and minimize the power of dribbling. So they bounce on the spot very low, with a very low impact. By the time the signal is coming to go again, they go up, must give a little bit more pressure to the ball, change the hand, and continuously run. So you can see variations of right hand, of left hand, variations of the height of the dribbling, very easy to be implemented in that type of drill, stop and go, we call it. The other way around is possible too. Now they stop on the spot and they bounce high. But high bouncing means that always the hand is still on top of the ball. Never go with your hand below the ball, because this is mistaken handball from the rules. So, but going high, controlling the ball with your eyes, this is something helpful for them. So this player does it in a good way. Hand is always on the top. Change the hand and continuously go. And once again, high in the air and go. And a last variation, stop on the point, open the legs, and now try to circulate or dribble the ball in a figure of 8 through the legs, using right and left hand. This is quite difficult for those players. Okay. Now again, some simple variations. You remember our concept of the 3 steps, and this is now step number 1, simple variations under easier conditions, dribbling along the center line, and you see the coach is giving a signal. The signal is the clap of the hand, and by the time the clap is coming, the players have to change direction with a 90-degree turn towards the goal, speed up, and then accelerate and finalize shooting to the goal. So in that moment, no mistake should happen when they dribble, especially when they change direction. This must be worked out without any problem very easy, and then ball is not too high, and then change direction and speed up. So very simple from that side, and we always start from that side because this is the side for the right-handed players. It's more easier for them. Left-handed players should do it with the right hand. Now, second step, we come to the other side of the court. Starting from here, everyone, even right-handed players, start with bouncing with the left hand. In that moment, when the signal from the coach is coming, change direction, change hand, and then accelerate towards the goal. But as you can imagine, in that moment, if the player is using the left hand, then the defender is on that side because he's between opponent and goal. So that's why the ball is protected. Now in the next step, they make a 270-degree turn. The first turn was 90 degrees, moving towards the goal. Now it's just the other way around, but continuously dribbling the ball. So coming with the left hand, stopping in front of the coach, rotate, and then change the hand in that moment. Now you see it's always protected from the player. The ball is protected. So bouncing should be a little bit lower, okay. But in general, you can see that the opponent has no chance to intercept the ball. So you can see how they protect the ball from the movement 270 degrees and from the change of the hand. Now ball is more down. This is much better movement. And the same is coming from the other side. Now they start with the right hand, stop, rotate 270 degrees, take over with the left hand, and on the way to the court, to the goal, then they can change to the right hand again. So changing the ball and going. Take care. Coach can try to make an attempt for interception. Then they must learn that they are too close and must protect the ball. So very easy, very simple in that moment. Change of hand, change of direction. Now in the next step, we can see the players doing some special move in the center because they come together and they clap with the hand that is free. So in that moment, for a short time, they have to take away their eyes from the ball. And this is something I like very much. So you can see it here now. They bounce with the right hand, but left hand is free. So when they come together, now they clap and they must search for the opponent's hand. In that moment, they cannot have an eye on their own ball. So this is the unaware implementation of the ball. Then going around the coon, speed up and try to go through that gap before it is closed. Okay. Nice drill. Clap. Blue player going directly to the goal. White player going around the coon. The next two are coming. Observe. Breakthrough. And the next two are doing that. And the same is with left hand bouncing, right hand clapping. So you can see the mistake of the player here. He is holding the ball. This is a mistake, because this player is not very good in bouncing with second hand. This is okay. Change of direction, a little bit later to the right hand, clap, and you go. Okay. So in that way, with some small variations, we can enforce the players not to have a look on the ball. And this is the same with some elements we know already from coordination training. So you can see it here, for instance, when the rope is on the ground, the players are bouncing and they have to jump over the rope. So in that moment, this is only possible by observing the rope and then make the jump in the right moment. But observing the rope does mean not to observe the ball. And the rope can even go up and down, make it much more difficult because in a moment they have to jump over, even dribbling with the right and the left hand. Again, you can see it's always right hand, left hand the players are using in that way. Now with the gymnastic rings, it's the same. So the ring is rolling, but more or less changing a little bit the direction. The players have to dribble the ball and in the first step, go around. So they must observe the ring and then in a way try to adapt their movement to the movement of the ring. Right hand dribbling and left hand dribbling again. So always enforce the players to do that with the first and the second hand. Especially, you should use the second hand more often because it needs more practice. Okay, now, example for observation. Again, see the players in defense moving between the two cones. So, oops, sorry. So, see it here. So, in that moment, you can see the players in defense moving constantly between the two cones. This player moving here, this player moving here, and they move in a crisscross way. So the players in attack take the positions here, blue line, bounce on the spot, but still have to observe what's happening in front of them. By the time the coach is giving the signal, clap, then they have to break through to the goal. So in that moment, the situation in front of them is constantly changing. They need to observe and then they need to make decision when to break through and in which way to use the dribbling. Maybe with the right hand, maybe with the left hand, maybe straight, maybe with a change of direction. And this depends on the situation which is created from that two players in defense. So without observation of the situation, they cannot break through. So they must use the dribbling without constantly observing the ball. And this is what we want in this moment. Enforce the players not to look on the ball. And there's a nice variation we see here. Now the player in attack is taking a position with a back to the defense, opening the legs, bouncing on the spot, and then, you can see it here, bouncing on the spot 3 times with bounce number 4, dribble the ball through the legs, then turn around and immediately see the situation. So the time for observation, the time for realizing what gap is open is getting shorter and shorter. So we enforce in that moment the observation, and they cannot have a look at the ball so much like before, because they need to see the situation and break through. Okay. Now step number 3, active opponent is introduced. So in this moment again, the players move along the center line, but when they meet in the center, they take this position. They make one round, bouncing the ball and fighting with the opponent to make him lose the ball, but take care that you don't lose the ball yourself. Afterwards, moving to the goal like we saw it before. So now you can see those players taking that position, moving around, and under pressure from opponent, they must continuously dribble the ball and give so many impact to the opponent that hopefully he will lose the ball. So this is the fighting situation here. This is using the technique under pressure from an active defender and then moving towards the goal. So, and this can be done again with the right and the left hand, like all our other drills before. Don't hold it, always with one hand bouncing only. Now, in the next variation, we see those players fighting against each other in the area in the center, because their task is now bounce your own ball, but with the free hand, intercept the ball from the other player. I try to intercept. And then after a signal from the coach, one is going directly, the other is moving around the yellow cone, and then go to the goal. Once again here. Try to intercept, then after a short fight, open and go again. Nice try. And then reaction and go to the goal. Now for the last, we see similar construction of a drill like we had it before, but in this picture you see 2 players in defense now standing in that ring, and they are fixed from their movements, but they can use the hands to intercept the ball. Players in attack must make a sidestep move, right, left, and then signal from the coach is coming to break through. So in that moment, 3 different gaps are possible. One is the gap to the left side. Second is the gap to the right side. And third is the gap in the center. Depending on the situation, it would be now good to use the correct hand. If the player is moving to that gap, left hand should be used. If he's moving to the other side, right hand should be used. So always make it a little bit more difficult for the player in defense to intercept the ball. These defenders, they should not step outside, but they can use the hands. So the player in attack has to adapt to the situation and use the variation, right hand, left hand, according to that situation. So save the ball, no chance for interception, and then you go. So this is what we want from the players in that moment. And this again is step number 3, which is the step of drills and games with active opponent to intercept the ball from the attacker who is using the technique. Okay, finally, this was the last slide, and this is the end of the presentation. Okay, coming back to the screen sharing mode and to the
Thank you
chat.
very much, Mr. Klaus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I start from the beginning and looking for questions. Okay, no question, no question, no question, that's fine. Okay. So how much time? It depends on the development of your players. Some players are really talented, then it's working in a nice way because you can step on very quick. If the players are learning not so fast, then you need to invest more time for that. Yeah? So if players have already adapted some mistakes in an elite or advanced player level, it's very difficult. We will talk about that when we talk about throwing movement, because this is something new, something which is very difficult for the players if they have learned wrong technique or some mistakes are inside that movement, and they have to relearn or learn from the beginning. How we do long passes, this we will explain on Monday because it's passing and catching Monday topic. Ball dribbling, how many sessions? You can plan as many sessions as you want, and you have to see the development of your players, and if they are good in development, change to another topic. Okay, well explained. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The ball should bounce or should be having a good air pressure, not too less. Very often in Europe, we see players taking the air out of the ball to have a better grip. Okay, but if the ball is inflated too much, it bounces too high, like a volleyball. This is not useful too. So I think there is an official rule for the air pressure. Don't do it too much. Okay. Teach first, catching, passing, dribbling. I would say first of all dribbling, because it's individual. Catching is something which follows for sure, but we must be aware that in this moment the players from one to the other, they cannot pass and catch in a nice way. So the thing is, or the sentence I always have on my mind in this is something which my first coach said to me when I was a young player and started with coaching, and I was asking, what can I do? In that moment, he said, 20 players, 20 balls, everything is fine, because they adapt to the movements, to the ball handling, to the dribbling individually first. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's fine. No. Okay. No, we don't need to use glue or gum or something like this. This is possible to learn without. Okay, thank you so much for your questions. I hope that everyone was satisfied with this large number of video examples and could follow how this was developed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klaus. So as usual, like previous topics, today's topic was also very, very useful and very, very informative. So this is useful for our coaches. So we have to train these children through these minor games, small drills with changing direction, with some aims. So then they can get beneficial in the junior and sub-junior level. So you have explained in
And
such
you
a
will
way
see,
through videos and given a lot of time and explained very nicely. I think there will be no doubt for our player. But this topic looks very simple. Ball handling and dribbling, nobody bothers about that. But now, today onward, I think after listening your this, they will have to do and impart their training to the children. So thank you very much, Mr. Klaus. I think you are busy. So we will now talk our colleagues in Hindi.
one
If
more
you want
word.
to say, you can
One,
say something.
yes. Still, it's very basic, but it helps the players a lot if they have a good ball handling and a good dribbling. And you will see how they develop in this. And it's really important for the higher level players too, to have that safety and to have that feeling for the ball. So don't have the idea that this is only basic level. It is really interesting for players in higher level too. Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice weekend. See you on Monday.
Thank you very much, sir.
Bye.
Bye bye. So our coaches, please. So this was very simple and very informative. So we can also give, I think, half an hour a day
to
to develop
dribbling and
dribbling
ball
and ball
handling
and
with the
with the
minor
minor
lead-up
lead-up
games
games
and
and recreation game.
So there
So
should
there
be
should
some
be some
aim,
aim,
and
the
the exercise should be
exercise should be
designed
designed
by your
by
own.
your own.
I think no
I think
need
no
to
need to
show
see
videos and
videos and
asking for
asking for videos
who are
who are
qualified and
qualified
very
and very
talented coach.
talented.
So you can
So you
design
can
and
design and
use a
use
small
a small
equipment
equipment
for
for
designing these
designing these
exercises.
exercises.
Sometimes he said
Sometimes he
90
said
degree, 180 degree,
180 degree,
270 degree.
270 degree.
So that
So
degree
that
you can
degree you can
also
also
give
give
to your
to
own
your own
children
children
at the
at the
sub-junior level
sub-junior
or
level
junior
or
level.
junior level.
So that is
So
not
that is
very
not
much
very much
difficult.
difficult.
So only the
Only the
guidance is
guidance is
difficult
difficult
because
because he
he
has
has bifurcated
bifurcated
his
his
topic
topic
into
into
three parts
three parts
every day.
every day.
First he
First
says
he says
techniques, then
techniques, then
variations, then
variations,
minor
then
game
minor
for
game
kids.
for kids.
So here
So
also
here
we
also
can
we can
do like
do
that.
like
First
that.
thing we have to
We have to
introduce
introduce
what is
what
technique,
is technique,
what is ball
what is
handling,
ball handling,
then
then
variations in
variations in
dribbling,
dribbling,
left,
left,
right,
right, everything,
players,
players,
how
how
to
to
cover
cover
the
the
distance
distance
during a
during
fast
a
break,
fast break,
during 1-1
during 1-1
situation,
situation,
9 meter
9
to 6
meter to
meter
6
like
meter
that to
like
cover
that
the
to cover the
distance
distance
with the
with the
body feint
body
also.
feint also.
So now
So now
I
I
request Mr.
request Mr.
Handrapal
Handrapal
to explain
to
in
explain in
Hindi.
Hindi, please.
थैंक यू महेंद्र। सबसे पहले मैं कहना चाहूंगा कि ड्रिबलिंग की आवश्यकता है कि नहीं है, पर जैसा मिस्टर क्लॉस ने कहा बिल्कुल है। और क्यों है, तो उनका कहना था कि जब भी हम ड्रिबल करते हैं तो हमारे पास जो लिमिट्स होती हैं उसको हम बढ़ा सकते हैं बाउंस के साथ। जैसे उसने बोला कि 3 स्टेप्स हम ले सकते हैं और बाउंस करने के बाद हम 3 स्टेप्स और ले सकते हैं। तो कहने का मतलब है कि हम अपने प्ले को और एक्सटेंड कर सकते हैं अंदर जाने के लिए, स्पेस को बड़ा करने के लिए। तो ये सारी चीजें तभी पॉसिबल है जब हमें अच्छी तरह ड्रिबल और बॉल हैंडलिंग आती है। ब्रेक थ्रू के अंदर जब ओपन स्पेस होती है, जब खुला मैदान है, काफी स्पेसेस एक दूसरे प्लेयर के बीच में है, फास्ट ब्रेक के दौरान या जब आप डिफेंस आपको ओपन स्पेस में मार कर रहा है तब ड्रिबल की बहुत आवश्यकता पड़ती है कि आपने गोल की तरफ ब्रेक थ्रू करना है। और वो ब्रेक थ्रू आप ड्रिबल के साथ ही कर सकते हैं। तो ड्रिबल आप स्पीड से करिए, ड्रिबल आप देखकर करिए, ठीक है, बॉल को नहीं, अपोनेंट प्लेयर को और अपने साथी खिलाड़ी को देखकर। तो ये चीजें जो है उन्होंने बताई हैं। तो सबसे पहले जो बॉल हैंडलिंग है वो क्यों नेसेसरी है क्योंकि हमारा रिलेशन जब भी हम खेलते हैं हैंडबॉल, तो हमारे पास जिस चीज के साथ हम खेलते हैं वो है बॉल। तो हमारा जो रिलेशन है बॉल के साथ वो बहुत अच्छा होना चाहिए। तो उसको कैसे अच्छा किया जाए, ये बॉल हैंडलिंग की जो स्किल्स उन्होंने आपको बताई है कि बॉल को डिफरेंट तरीके से हम वो ड्रिल्स कर सकते हैं, उसके साथ पकड़ सकते हैं, और तो उससे बॉल के साथ हमारी एक्विटेंस बढ़ती है, हमारा रिलेशन बॉल के साथ बढ़ता है। तो इससे हम उसके साथ अच्छे तरीके से खेल सकते हैं। और ड्रिबल के अंदर ये ध्यान रखने वाली चीजें हैं कि जब भी आप ड्रिबल करते हैं तो आपने किन किन चीजों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि आपके दोनों हाथ, लेफ्ट और राइट हैंड, इक्वली ड्रिबल कर सके। जितने अच्छे ढंग से आप दाएं हाथ से ड्रिबल करते हैं उतने अच्छे ढंग से आप बाएं हाथ से भी ड्रिबल करना चाहिए। तो ये एक्सरसाइज के लिए, फिर उसके बाद जब हम इन चीजों की तैयारी करते हैं तो हमें थोड़ा सा लोड बढ़ाते जाना चाहिए। जैसे हम बॉल की तरफ ना देखें, हम प्लेयर्स को भी साथ में देखें, हम उन गैप्स को भी साथ में देखें जो हम जिसके अंदर हम जा सकते हैं और उसका हम फायदा ले सकते हैं। तो जब भी हम ड्रिबल करते हैं तो हमारे पास टीचिंग के लिए जो बेसिक ड्रिल्स है उसके अंदर स्टेप्स हैं कि हम इजियर कंडीशन से हायर कंडीशंस मीन थोड़ी डिफिकल्ट 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 एंड मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट कंडीशंस की तरफ चलें। तो वो बेसिक ड्रिल से एक्वायर होएगा। अगर आप ड्रिबलिंग सिखाते हैं तो सबसे पहले आप उनको ड्रिबल नॉर्मल सर्कमस्टांसेस में चलकर, ये धीरे चलकर, थोड़ा स्पीड से चलकर या फॉरवर्ड डायरेक्शन में, फिर उसके बाद धीरे से हम बढ़ा सकते हैं कि आप चेंज ऑफ डायरेक्शंस कर सकते हैं, आप बैकवर्ड फॉरवर्ड या किसी डायरेक्शन में उनको बच्चों को सिखा सकते हैं। फिर उसके बाद वेरिएशन और थी उन्होंने बताई है कि हम उसको थोड़ा सा एक्टिव अपोनेंट के साथ कर सकते हैं। जैसे उन्होंने ड्रिल्स के अंदर वेरिएशन बताई थी कि एक्टिव अपोनेंट कैसे हैं। आप एक लाइन के अंदर हैं, आगे अपोनेंट आ गया है तो आपको ड्रिबल का हैंड चेंज करना है और दूसरी दिशा के अंदर, दूसरे डायरेक्शन के अंदर जाना है। तो ये तभी पॉसिबल हो सकता है। पहले हम धीरे कर सकते हैं, फिर थोड़ी सी स्पीड में, फिर अपना डायरेक्शन भी हम चेंज कर सकते हैं। तो ये सारी चीजें जो हैं ड्रिबल के साथ ही हैं। बट उसके साथ साथ और ध्यान देने वाली बातें हैं कि हम जब भी ड्रिबल करते हैं तो हमें कॉन्स्टेंटली बॉल की तरफ नहीं देखना, हमें बॉल की फील जो है वो आनी चाहिए, क्योंकि पावर जो है वो हमारा हाथ जनरेट कर रहा है बॉल के साथ। और बाउंस, अगर आपका हाथ इन कोऑर्डिनेशन है, आपकी बॉल हैंडलिंग अच्छी है, तो वो नेचुरली उसी जगह बॉल का बाउंस होगा जहां आप चाहते हैं, इधर उधर नहीं जाएगा। तो ये फायदा है जब आप बॉल हैंडलिंग और ड्रिबलिंग करते हैं, तो आप अपनी जो है स्किल को बढ़ा सकते हैं। फिर नेक्स्ट जो ड्रिल्स उन्होंने बताई थी कि ओरिएंटेशंस हैं, बहुत सारी ड्रिल्स ये आपने देखी हैं, मुझे उनको रिपीट करने की जरूरत नहीं है, आप यूज भी करते हैं। और जो एक ड्रिल जो मुझे अच्छी लगी वो थी कि जब आप अपोनेंट की बैक साइड है एंड अपोनेंट जो है कंटिन्यूस मूव कर रहा है एक दिशा के अंदर, स्ट्रेट लाइन के अंदर, और आपको बच्चे को सिखाना है तो आप उसको ड्रिबल कर कर जहां से गैप मिलता है उस गैप को आप ब्रेक थ्रू कर सकते हो और जा सकते हो। फिर उसने 2 डिफेंसिव प्लेयर्स लगाए, तो वो एक सर्टन एरिया के अंदर रिस्ट्रिक्टेड थे, तो उसके अंदर से हम जा सकते हैं। ठीक है। सो और साथ में और भी ड्रिल्स आप इसको ऐड कर सकते हैं। ये एक आपको आइडिया दे दिया गया है और मेरी मानना है, और क्योंकि यहाँ पर बॉल हैंडलिंग और ड्रिबलिंग का जो है क्लासेस हमारे एनएस में वो हम लेते हैं, तो इसलिए मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा कि आप सब ने ज्वाइन किया और इन बातों का आप ध्यान रखेंगे, विशेषकर जब आप बच्चों के साथ डील करते हैं तो 8 से 12 साल में ये चीजें आपकी परफेक्ट हो जानी चाहिए। ठीक है, धन्यवाद, आपने बड़ी शांति से सुना।
थैंक यू मिस्टर हैरी, बहुत ही सुंदर तरीके से और शुद्ध हिंदी से मिस्टर हैरी ने आपको एक्सप्लेन किया। सो सेम वही बातें हैं जो एनईएस में आपको पढ़ाई जाती हैं कि कुछ भी करना है यू हैव टू यूज मेथोडिकल स्टेप्स। उसने भी मेथोडिकल स्टेप्स के ऊपर जो है स्ट्रेस दिया है कि जब आप ड्रिबल करते हैं आपके सामने कोई प्लेयर नहीं होना चाहिए, फिर एक प्लेयर होना चाहिए वो वीक हो, फिर उसके साथ आप एक्टिव कर सकते हैं, फिर आप टर्न ऑफ कर सकते हैं, आप डिफरेंट में उसकी आप बाल को निकाल सकते हैं। उसके पीछे अगर आप एक और एक्सरसाइज है, जैसे आप उसके पीछे का टॉवल लगा दीजिए, आप वाइल्ड ड्रिबलिंग और टॉवल को पुल करना है प्लेयर की बैक साइड पे इन पेयर। सो ये बहुत अच्छी अच्छी एक्सरसाइजें हैं। ये जरूरी नहीं है कि हमें यूट्यूब में मिले और कोई कोच हमें दे, कि आप अपने एक्सपीरियंस से ही ये एक्सरसाइज आप बना सकते हो, बट यू कैन मेक देम परफेक्ट इन लेफ्ट राइट ड्रिबल सो दैट दे कैन बीट। अदरवाइज क्या है कि डिफेंसिव प्लेयर आपकी मूवमेंट को रिकॉग्नाइज कर लेता है कि यार इसको तो एक ही साइड बाउंस आता है, जैसे ही आप बाउंस डालते हो टेक आउट द बॉल, वो बॉल को बाहर निकाल देता है और काउंटर अटैक के लिए चले जाता है। उसको भी डर होना चाहिए डिफेंडर को कि अगर मैं राइट को गया तो ये लेफ्ट को बाउंस कर देगा विद हाई स्पीड। मगर क्या है कि हमने जूनियर लेवल और सीनियर लेवल पे भी देखते हैं कि जो प्लेयर्स हैं वो एक तो बॉल को देखते हैं, तो उसने एक लाइन लिखी थी उसमें कि विदाउट कांस्टेंट ऑब्जर्वेशन ऑफ द बॉल, कि आपने बॉल को देखना ही नहीं है। तो जब आप 12-14 साल के बच्चे को मास्टर करते हो उसकी ड्रिबलिंग का और बॉल हैंडलिंग का, फ्लोर में क्या है अनइवन ग्राउंड होता है, हम बाउंस करते हैं तो उधर चली जाती है, वो हमारा फर्क नहीं होता, हमारी गलती नहीं होती। बट व्हेन वी प्ले इंडोर देन द ग्राउंड विल नॉट बी अनइवन। सो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर लिसनिंग। नाउ tomorrow there is a holiday, so on Monday we will meet at 11:30 again. So please come in time and put your attendance. Sai coaches especially they have to write, they are from Sports Authority of India. So आपका एग्जाम होना है 30 तारीख को, तो 31 तारीख को आपका अलाइड साइंसेस का है, और इसमें आपको 30 क्वेश्चन आएंगे हैंडबॉल में, जो आपका डेली जो लेक्चर है इसमें से आप कुछ नोट करिए, आएंगे इसी में ही। जैसे ड्रिबलिंग का है इसमें भी 1-2 क्वेश्चन आ जाएंगे, वो कैसे आएंगे दैट वी विल सी। थैंक यू वेरी मच। नाउ वी आर लीविंग द मीटिंग। थैंक यू।